Alright guys, well I'm back today with one of the absolute toughest 22 cans on the market, and in fact this can is actually rated for limited rounds of 5.56. We are looking at the Griffin Armament Optimus Micro Suppressor, and it's good for 22 long rifle through 22 250. We're going to be talking about the specs and features, why you would want a can like this, as well as its performance down at the range. But before we do, I want to give a huge shout out to Griffin Armament for sending this out to the channel at my request. Once I saw this can, I knew I had to get my hands on it for the collection, and these guys were nice enough to send it out, and I don't have to send it back. Right off the bat, this is not your standard 22 long rifle can, because it is rated for 5.56. Now it is stamped 5.56 on the suppressor itself, but you can find this under their rimfire section rather than their rifle section, and that is because I believe this is truly a dedicated 22 long rifle or rimfire can that can handle the occasional 5.56 or larger calibers. Now what makes this unique is it's fully 17.4 stainless steel construction with a really good heat treat on the baffle system, and this does have a removable baffle stack. Unlike a lot of 5.56 cans, you can take these out and clean them, again primarily because this will be used for 22s and rimfires and things like that that can get a little bit dirty. The other cool thing about that is a lot of 5.56 cans don't require regular cleaning because the pressures and temperatures of the 5.56 blast all the carbon and debris out of the can, so if you're done running 22 for the day, thread this on a 5.56 with their taper mount baffle technology, and then take some shots and blast out all of that carbon and buildup. That's what I did, and you can hear there's no rattle, there's no carbon debris coming out on the end like I would with a normal 22 can. A lot of times after shooting 500 rounds at 22, you can literally hear the junk and debris rattle on the inside of the can and drop out the end in clumps. Not with this one, because I fired some 5.56 before I finished filming the video, which is an awesome option for this can. Now it comes with the 1/2x28 direct thread mount, but if you are running it on a 5.56, you will run their taper mounting system. Now you can find all the detailed specs and features, but the tapered mounting system gives you a little bit more of a blast chamber for 5.56, and you can utilize their taper muzzle devices, and they seal off nicely to prevent all of that carbon and debris coming back at you or fouling up the threads, which is really nice. Now I also have one of these taper mounts on the Ruger 5.7, and I also feel like this shines as an amazing 5.7 can. 5.7 is growing in popularity with companies like PSA producing threaded barrel 5.7s, as well as Ruger coming out with the LC carbine in 5.7, or the Ruger carbine in 5.7. This allows you to not worry about those ratings on a lot of other 22 suppressors that could potentially handle 5.7. And there's also a lot of 9mm cans in the market that are not rated for 5.7. So having something like this with that tight end cap with really good sound suppression to throw on the end of a 5.7 or a 5.7 is absolutely perfect. And Griffin Armament killed it with this can and the taper mounting system. Everything uses standard wrench flats, so you can pop this off with a standard wrench, thread the taper mount onto the end of it, although I can't show you any of that because of YouTube's policies. It does extend it and give you a nice blast chamber to protect the can from those higher pressure rounds, and then it seals it off nicely, as you can see in the intro, to run a limited 5 to 7 rounds of 5.56, but whatever you want with that 5.7. Now, for me, I'm not going to be running this on the 5.56 at all, really, as a dedicated 5.56 suppressor. I'm going to be running it through a 5.56 to either clean it out or for different lightweight hunting applications. A lot of guys will buy a 22 can because they are incredibly quiet, and this one was. It ran perfectly on that 22 pistol. It also ran great on that HK MP5 22, as well as a bunch of other 22 rifles that I tried off camera, and the sound suppression is absolutely amazing, especially with standard velocity ammo. And then you can run it on here to clean it out, or throw it on a 5.56 rifle for a lighter weight hunting applications. Now again, you don't get the sound suppression that you would get out of a dedicated, true, full volume or full length, fully welded 5.56 can, but again, that's not what it's designed for. If you were thinking about buying a 22 long rifle can, definitely look at this, because the option on this guy is going to be really nice, because even though it's a little bit heavier than a traditional 22 can, it's not overly heavy, and it balances nicely on the end of a 22 rifle. It honestly disappears. And on the end of a 22 pistol, it's still very functional and manageable, and it feels incredibly nice. It's not overweight. So in summary, if you're looking for an insanely durable 22 can that can run on a 5.56 and definitely a 5.7 for extended round counts and has a wide variety of mounting applications, for me, it's a no-brainer. I absolutely love this guy, and it works out great. Now, they do have barrel length restrictions that you'll want to take a look at for running things like 5.56 or 22-250, but some of the barrel length restrictions are as low as kind of like 14.5, depending on the mounting that you have. So you can do a standard mounting. You can also do a tri-lug or threaded mount. And the more that you use the blast chamber or the taper mount, the shorter the barrel can be. I believe it's 14.5 if you're using the direct thread on a 223 or 5.56. And with the taper mounts, you can go down to 12.5. So something to consider when you're looking at barrel lengths, but you don't have to necessarily use the taper mounting system. It just gives you a better blast chamber. So if you do want to just buy it as a direct thread and direct thread it on there, I would just make sure you are following those barrel restrictions. In summary, this is an amazing can, in my opinion, for those one-off chances that you want to run it on a 5.56, but primarily run it on a 22, or a great can for a dedicated 5.7. Thanks to Griffin Armament for all the help on this video. Thanks for them to sending it out, and thanks to you guys for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you've been getting into suppressors lately, and now's a great time to talk to your congressmen, talk to your senators, and tell them that that HPA and Short Act needs to pass. This is the best chance I've seen in my lifetime of something like that being possible. So let's not waste it. Have a good one.